You're fired. You and your mop can scrub your way out the front door. His voice sliced through the ballroom like a whip. All heads turned. Silverware clinked against porcelain as the room fell into an awkward hush. Guests froze mid-bite. I stood there, my hands trembling around the handle of my cleaning cart, still dripping with champagne from the tray I had just slipped on. The floor was wet. I tried to explain. He didn't care. This is a 5-star establishment, not a charity, he sneered, stepping closer, puffing up his chest for the audience. You think people pay $800 a night to watch maids act like clowns? He laughed. Loudly. Cruelly. And they laughed with him. That was the worst part. Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this, and also comments where you are watching from. Thanks. Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from. Thanks. I should have kept my mouth shut. But I didn't. Something inside me snapped. You think this uniform makes me less than you? I asked, voice steady despite the burn rising in my throat. You think mopping your mess makes me invisible? He turned slowly. What did you just say? I said. I stepped forward, wiping my hands on my apron. The only difference between you and me is that I know how to clean up my messes. You just cover yours with linen and pretend they don't stink. Gasps rippled through the room. He stormed forward until he was inches from my face. I saw the vein in his temple twitch. You have no idea who you're talking to, he growled. I own this place. I tilted my head, just slightly. Do you? Or do you just think yelling at the staff makes you a boss? Out. Now. Or I'll have security drag you. Then do it, I said, holding his gaze. Let everyone watch. Let them see exactly how you treat the people who keep your precious hotel standing. He did. 2 men in suits appeared within minutes, hands already on their radios. I was still soaking wet from the spill, my shoes leaving squeaky footprints on the polished marble as they escorted me out. I didn't resist. I walked with my head high, though I could feel the heat of every stare, every whisper trailing behind me like poison. But what no one knew, not him, not the guests, not even the doorman who held the door open for me like I was trash being taken out, was that I'd already signed the papers. 48 hours earlier, I'd closed the deal on the very hotel he believed he ruled. Bought at auction. Private bid. Silent transfer. He thought the chain was expanding, buying out struggling properties. And it was. But I was the one who'd made that call. I'd worked my way up, built my fortune cleaning toilets, serving coffee, and listening, always listening, to how the powerful spoke when they thought I wasn't worth hearing. This hotel was personal. He just didn't know it yet. I spent that night in a penthouse suite 3 blocks away, sipping tea in a robe and watching the security footage on my laptop. I'd had the cameras rerouted to my team earlier that week. I watched him berate another staff member, flirt with a married guest, and pour himself 3 fingers of scotch from the lobby bar after hours. By sunrise, I was ready. I didn't return in uniform. I came back in heels, a navy suit, and a pair of sunglasses that cost more than his monthly salary. I didn't need to announce myself. I walked past the front desk, past the confused concierge, and straight into the manager's office, his office. He was behind the desk, feet up, coffee steaming. The second he looked up, I saw confusion flicker behind his smug expression. It took a moment longer than it should have. You're trespassing, he said, though his voice didn't carry the same weight this time. I dropped a file on the desk. My name, legally changed years ago, was stamped across the top of the ownership deed. You're not the only one who reads contracts, I said. He stood. Fast. What is this? A joke? No joke. I circled behind the desk, sat in the leather chair like it had always been mine, and looked up at him. You're fired. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. For the first time since I'd met him, he looked small. Deflated. You can finish the day if you want, I added, but the toilets on floor 14 are due for a deep clean. Or would you prefer to start with the vacuum in here? He didn't move. His eyes darted around, looking for an escape, a lifeline, someone to vouch for him. But no one came. Security's waiting outside, I said, softly. Same ones who dragged me out. Let's see how they treat someone in your shoes. There was no applause. No grand scene. Just silence. And one man who had built his identity on status realizing he never had any real power. Just noise. And me? I stood, walked to the window, and looked out over the city I used to scrub clean before sunrise. Don't ever call someone just a maid, I whispered over my shoulder. Because one day, she might own the building you beg in. Most people see the uniform before they see the person. And that's how I liked it. No one ever suspects the maid. They speak freely in front of you, toss their secrets on the floor like dirty towels, never realizing who's listening. That's how I learned, not just how to clean, but how to move. How to think. How to win. You can't grow up in a house where your mother scrubs strangers' bathrooms without picking up on the truth. The people who look down on others from penthouses always forget how fast the elevator comes down. I wasn't born rich. I wasn't born lucky. I was born to a mother who worked 2 jobs and still came home with her hands raw from bleach. I was 10 when I started helping her at the hotel. Not legally, of course. But back then, rules bent for people like us, as long as we stayed invisible. I vacuumed under beds while guests snored, folded towels better than most grown staff, and never once complained. My reward? Blisters. And my mother's pride. That was enough for me then. But something changed the day I watched a manager yell at her. Right in front of me. She'd cleaned an entire suite after a bachelor party left it looking like a disaster zone. Took her 4 hours. She was on her knees, scrubbing something out of the carpet. The guy walked in, took one look, and said, "You missed a spot." Then he laughed. Tossed a $5 bill on the floor. Like she was a dog. That was the day I decided I would never let anyone treat her, or anyone like her, like that again. I worked. I studied. Nights, weekends, holidays. I learned everything about hospitality, business, and how money moves. I didn't go to Ivy League schools, but I read the books. I watched the lectures. And I saved every tip I earned from age 13 to 23. You'd be shocked how fast things change when you stop buying what the world tells you and start investing in your own truth. By 24, I'd flipped my first property. By 28, I owned 4 boutique hotels. Quietly. No press. No social media. I let people assume I was still in housekeeping. Why? Because people tell their secrets to maids. They think we're beneath them. They think we don't count. That's why I made sure to be there, unnoticed, the day this hotel started leaking money. The owners wanted out. The brand needed a facelift. And I was standing there, mop in hand, watching them sweat behind closed doors. No one looked at me twice when I wiped their conference table clean. That's how I knew the timing was right. That's how I made the offer before anyone else knew what hit them. And still, the man in the tux, the same one who screamed at me in front of 100 guests, thought I was just a clumsy woman with a bucket. Funny, isn't it? He never once thought to ask my name. The next morning, I didn't walk into the hotel through the back entrance. I pulled up in a quiet black car, stepped out in a white suit that made the valet stop mid-sentence, and walked through the revolving doors like I owned the place, because I did. The front desk manager looked up, confused. I saw him open his mouth, probably to ask if I was lost. But before he could speak, the general manager, him, came out from the side office, sipping his overpriced espresso, and locked eyes with me. His smirk dropped so fast, I thought it might crack his jaw. You, he said, loud enough for the whole lobby to hear. What are you doing here? I told security to revoke your clearance. You don't work here anymore. That same smug tone from last night. He was so sure the world still bent around him. I didn't say a word. I just handed him the envelope. The one with the papers. The one with the seal. The one with my name printed clean across the top, as the new owner. He blinked. Laughed. Opened it. Then he froze. Silence filled the lobby like fog rolling in off the water. Every receptionist, every bellboy, every concierge who'd seen him humiliate me the night before was now staring, waiting, watching him swallow that sharp little pill called powerlessness. He turned pale. His lips moved like he was chewing on broken glass. This is some kind of joke. I stepped closer. Not angry. Calm. Dead calm. The kind that makes people back up without realizing they've moved. No, I said. This is the joke. A man who thought he could scream at people like they weren't human, fired the one woman who just bought his job. He looked around, desperate for backup. You can't do this. You're nothing but. Say it, I said, tilting my head. Go ahead. Say it again. He didn't. He couldn't. Because he knew what came next. I walked past him and headed straight to the executive office. My office. The one he used to lock. I sat down in the chair behind the desk, leaned back, and looked at the framed photo of the previous owners they'd forgotten to remove. I picked it up. Set it aside. Let's begin with a deep clean, I said loud enough for him to hear through the glass. And since you love giving orders in front of people, I'll give you your first one here too. I turned to him and smiled. Grab the vacuum. You missed a spot. He didn't move. Just stood there, stiff, gripping the paper like it might change if he held on tight enough. And for the first time, I saw something real in his face, not anger, not arrogance, fear. Not the kind that makes you scream. The kind that makes you quiet. That heavy kind, when the ground shifts and you realize the person you thought was beneath you has been building the floor you're about to fall through. It was quiet. Too quiet. I looked up to see the front desk manager, Celia, staring at us. She looked at me, then at him, and slowly walked toward my office. Ma'am, she said carefully, do you need someone to show you the system? Payroll? Vendor contracts? I stood and hugged her. Just like that. In front of everyone. Because she had been kind when no one else was. I remembered how she used to leave water bottles in the staff closet for the cleaning crew. She'd say, don't tell anyone, or they'll cut my hours. That day, I saw how scared she'd been to be kind in a place ruled by fear. But not anymore. No, I told her. You'll show them. I'm promoting you to general manager. Celia gasped. Hands to her mouth. Tears brimming before she even said a word. And across the lobby, I saw the staff shift, like something lifted. Like someone finally opened a window in a room where they'd been suffocating for years. The bellboys stood taller. The concierge smiled. Even the janitor who barely spoke English let out a quiet gracias. Meanwhile, he was still frozen in place. Watching the world move on without him. You can't just walk in here and erase me, he finally shouted. I made this place run. No, I said softly. You made people scared. That's not leadership. That's weakness in a suit. That was the thing about men like him, they mistake silence for submission. But I wasn't quiet because I was weak. I was quiet because I was listening. Watching. Learning who stood where. And now, everyone in that lobby had to choose, cling to the past, or step into the new. Some rushed forward. Others hung back. But they knew. Everyone knew. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn, especially from those you once ignored. It's funny, isn't it? How people only see you when you stop asking to be seen. That day, sitting behind the desk I used to scrub, I didn't feel angry anymore. Not even proud. I just felt done. Like I'd finally reached the end of a long, lonely road no one believed I could walk. I looked around that office, same walls, same window, same chair, but the air was different. Lighter. Like all the pain that had soaked into the carpet over the years had finally dried up and floated out the window. I turned in that chair and looked at the man who once yelled at me for being slow. He still hadn't moved. "You have two choices," I said quietly. "You can leave with your head down, or you can stay and learn how to serve with humility. Your title didn't make you better. Your treatment of people proved otherwise." He blinked fast like he wanted to speak, to fight, but there was nothing left to say. That's the thing about arrogance, it's loud until it runs out of an audience. I didn't fire him. Not yet. I gave him a mirror. Whether he looked into it or not, was up to him. By the end of the week, half the staff had written me notes. Some apologized for staying silent. Some thanked me for standing up. But one, just one, hit me hardest. A young intern wrote, "You being here tells me I don't have to come from money to matter. I just need to keep going." And I broke down. Right there. Because that was the point. Not revenge. Not ego. Not proving anything to the man who called me a maid like it was an insult. The real win was creating a place where the next girl scrubbing floors didn't have to hide her dreams. Where kindness wasn't weakness. Where respect wasn't earned through fear, but through fairness. Where no one had to fight just to be seen as human. So no. I'm not just a maid. I'm a woman who got pushed down so many times, I learned how to build a ladder with the pieces. I didn't just walk back in the next day to prove a point. I walked back in to change the story. For everyone still stuck in the chapter 1 finally closed.